Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I modeled this in 3D and today I will show you the whole process. I'll take you through the whole process of modeling, unwrapping and texturing as well as animation. So I've been playing The Last of Us on this channel for like a while now, and the thing that really saved me is the Molotov cocktails. As you can see, they just rip through these infected, and I really appreciate the style of this game and everything that it includes. So I wanted to show that it is so possible for anyone to model any game asset from any game that you are seeing. So we are going to be using Blender. It is a free modeling application, and as you can see right now, I am just getting the shape of this bottle and modeling the shape of this bottle out, making sure that we got clean topology, that everything is okay. I'm extruding the top lip section of this bottle, and then we just we basically make it smooth, and we just make sure that we have these edge lines that basically help the shape out. Now I'm putting in some lines so that we can extract the inside and make the inside for the liquid section of the bottle. So I'm just running through everything. This object here is this is going to be the cloth that will be on fire. I'm using proportional editing just to get it into the bottle and shape it so that it is flowing into the bottle, but the outside is quite spread out. Right now I am busy setting up the cloth simulation and also making the cloth thick as well. Always remember to save your file. Remember to save. I almost did not save, so remember to save. And as you can see, I'm running the cloth, and as you can see, it's actually going through the bottle, so I add a collision to the bottle so that the cloth can actually just wrap nicely around that bottle and fall on that bottle without really intersecting the bottle that much. And as you can see, I'm just running through settings, just doing multiple tests. Right there, I am painting a weight map to let the cloth simulation know that that is the part that does not need the cloth simulation, or else it will kind of fall through and will not go over the lip the way we want it to go over that lip part. So yeah, I'm just making final adjustments to the weight map just to make sure that everything flows correctly. Okay, you can do this test as many times as you want to, and now I am baking the cloth simulation because I'm quite okay with the settings that I have. I just need to bake out the cloth simulation, and as you can see, it's busy running. And this does take a while, especially with the resolution that I have the cloth simulation at. So there we go. As you can see, it's not intersecting that much, but now I'm using sculpting. I'm using the sculpting tools just to fine-tune the way that the cloth is sitting down on the bottle or flowing down the bottle, as well as fine-tuning the entrance of that lip just to get it really nice so that the cloth is flowing nicely into the bottle. And here we can have it, and this is the 3D model done. This is 3D modeling done of the bottle. Quite simple, not really that simple, but yeah. Now we are doing the UV unwrapping. So you'll see these red lines in the bottle, and that is where the cuts are going to be. And the unwrapping is basically just taking the object, cutting it up so that it folds, so that it can be put flat down. It's like when you make a paper cube at school and you have to cut it in a shape so that when you use glue to stick it back together, that it forms a good square. That is basically what UV unwrapping is. As you can see, I had a problem here with the UV. It was pinching, so I used this UV checker just to make sure that my UVs are proper, and as you can see, it's pinching. So the way to fix that is I just added some more edge loops, and these edge loops help with the form, and it also helps with the UVs to make sure that the UVs are sitting well. I add some edge loops on the edge of this cloth to make it sharp, to make the cloth sharp, just to give the cloth a little bit of thickness. As you can see, we are running through it again using unwrapping, and also I'm using an add-on and this add-on is good for UVs. It just straightens out the UV just to make sure that when we paint on this 3D model, that the paint does not deform in in a result that we do not want. So very important that we UV unwrap properly. Always check your UVs before exporting it to another program. And here you'll see I am now unwrapping the inside, and you see the top there, what it looked like before. That is what happens if you do not unwrap your UVs perfectly. So yeah, I'm just adding some materials so that I can divide the model into its separate parts when exporting to Substance Painter. I'm actually exporting it with it separated and then exporting it together. That's two different exports, because in Substance Painter when you have to bake the model, when it is all together and you bake it, it bakes and it leaves some bad colors because it's baking on top of each other. So it's good to bake it out separately with the objects separated from each other, and then bring the model back in with the object together so that nothing bakes on top of each other. As you can see here, it's baking separately, and then I bring in the model together and it saves the bake onto the model that you bring back in. Okay, so this is Substance Painter, and Substance Painter, we use it to do the painting and the texturing of the model. Here I am starting with the bottle, getting a nice base color in there, and also just figuring out how to get that glass texture to really look realistic. Adding some roughness, metallicness. So the metallicness is basically how much shine. The roughness and the metallicness makes the object metallic, as its name suggests, and then the roughness, that is how you control how soft, or not soft, but how shiny an object is. If the object is rough or shiny, that is what the roughness does. And yeah, I'm going through adding the base material for the cloth, getting the cloth sorted, and I am making sure that the cloth actually looks like actually looks like cloth. So I'm adding a texture on it, a woven texture, to make it look like some weaving or cotton on that cloth, to really make it look realistic. Adding some fine tuning now to the bottle, and now I'm adding dirt onto the bottle, because thing is, this is a post-apocalyptic game, and it is also a post-apocalyptic bottle, so it needs to look like it was picked up somewhere, but it's been laying in the dirt for some time, and it was just picked up and repurposed as a Molotov cocktail. So yeah, I'm adding some dirt, going through some dirt maps and just making it look very grimy, making it making sure that there is some difference with the roughness going through the bottle. As you can see, I'm adding some roughness here. You can see how it is now separated, and it actually looks dirty. It's still not all the way dirty yet. It just looks like the bottle is old, but we're gonna get to some real dirt. This is just the first dirt layer. There goes the second layer for scratches. So yeah, so obviously the bottle was laying around, and probably the wind moved it, or any type of environmental stuff moved it. So yeah, I'm adding some scratches onto the bottle with the height map, using a grunge material alpha, but controlling the height so that you can see that there are some scratches on the bottle. And here goes our second dirt layer. You want to layer your dirt, because with dirt, it's so random, so you want to layer it, use different grunge maps. You really want to use different grunge maps for layering. And as you can see, once you layer it, it starts to look a little bit more realistic, because it adds that nice randomness, realistic touch to the bottle. And already it's looking pretty good. Adding some dirt, getting the color in there. So right now I'm just sorting out the dirt's color. There we go. Start adding some dirt in there with the color as well. There we go. I'm using a nice brown color for that muddy feeling, like it was left out in the mud, or got so much dust on it. that it started to discolor the glass and stain the glass. So that is what I'm doing right here, doing some final tweaks on that glass. There we go. And I think this is when I move on to the cloth, because the bottle's been laying there, you know, it's post-apocalyptic, not all cloths are going to be clean. So I'm also adding some dirt and some weathering. That is the word I was looking for, weathering. We are weathering the bottle right now, but I'm adding some dirt to the cloth to also just to keep it on theme, you know. You do not know that all cloths are gonna be, especially if you just find them on the floor. Here, this is the label that I created in Photoshop, and now I'm just making a mask for the layer so that I can separate it on the bottle. Here you see I add this label, this bottle label, onto the front of the bottle. I added my own design onto it just to show you that you can create your own custom game assets, and this is just the process of doing it, and you can take this and you can take it into your own games to use for your own games. So yeah, put that sticker on there. And that is why that mask was so important, because that mask is separating the sticker and it's using transparency. So everywhere where it is white, that is where the sticker is, and everywhere where it is black on the alpha map, that is where your transparency is. Here I am just exporting the textures, as I'm fine with how the bottle looks right now. Exporting the textures and also exporting the opacity textures for this bottle. Now we head on back into Blender, and here we can now add all of those textures that we exported out of Substance Painter. And as you can see, with good UVs you can get the exact same look that you have in Substance Painter, you can get into Blender, because your UVs are perfectly unwrapped. And there we go, and that is our finished bottle. I'm just sorting out some render settings to make it look really nice. So this is what it looks like through a cycles render. Yeah, look at that. We can see the dirt, we can see the scratches on the bottle. It looks super realistic, and I'm super happy with it. At this point, you're basically done. You have created a 3D game asset bottle, alright? At this point, you're basically done. Congrats to you. This is how easy it is. But, you know, we cannot just finish here, because we want to go a step further. We want to actually add the flames, because that is what a Molotov cocktail is all about. It's all about the flames, man. So we are going to create this flame on the actual cloth and animate it. So here I'm just going through the fire physics. As you can see, I'm doing different tests, checking the fire. Yeah, I have a weight map, and this weight map is basically telling Blender, this is where I want my fire to be, and I do not want it to be on anything else, just this. Here I'm getting a catch ready so that I can bake, and here we are baking again, because now we are baking the fire properties so that we can work better with it, and that it takes a little bit of stress off of Blender. Here I am texturing that fire. As you can see, we are basically just gonna color the fire, make sure that it looks realistic, going through some different colors, testing with a color ramp. And here I am using a math node to just amplify that fire color, amplify the emissiveness of that fire. And here I'm just going through different colors, checking what works, what doesn't work. And yeah, here we go. We have the flame out, ready to go. Yeah, I'm just creating a ground, like a ground material, so that we can put this bottle in a scene, and it can look really cinematic, really going for the Last of Us, you know, vibes and themes. And here I find a texture. I'm using a Blender kit just to find some really good textures. And I'm lining my camera up now in 3D just to get that good shot going. And I'm also adding an environmental texture, but then I realized it was adding too much, so I removed it. or I just put it off. And yeah, now we are going to be, let's see, what am I doing now? Oh yeah, I'm adding lights. So I'm just lighting up the scene because I only want the bottle area to be lit up and for the rest of the scene to be dark. Yeah, I was not totally happy with the ground texture that I had. It didn't really look that realistic, so I went for like a tar texture, like that you find on the road, just a tar texture. And that looked way more realistic, way more cinematic. And now I'm just setting up my lights. I'm using a 3-point light system, but then I do add some more lights just to like the light on top. That is just so that the ground around the bottle can be lit. But as you can see, I'm using a 3-point light system just to make sure that the whole bottle is lit. And then there's a light at the back to give the bottle a good rim light. And that is how you get some good product and some good product lighting going. Yeah, I'm just sorting out my render settings so that I can do a render, making sure that my render settings are good. And I am using light linking because especially for the light that is, you know, giving that rim light, I do not want the, you know, the ground to be affected by that rim light. And now we are rendering, and as you can see, this is our end result with the bottle. Now I did not like that the background was being shown, or that it wasn't totally dark, so I am making like a studio matte, if you can call it, that you would find like in a normal studio, so that we can, and I'm also unwrapping that, you need to unwrap everything that you render in Blender, but yeah, I'm unwrapping that studio light, and I set the texture again, made it a little bit bigger so that the background is completely dark. And here we have it, our end result render for cinematics, and it's looking really good. It's looking really good. I really love the way that it came out. It's super realistic, and this is how the end result now that we have when I took it for a render. Looking really good, and this is how you create a 3D game asset for yourself. Check in the next one.